Hello, this is Dell, and welcome to what you need to know about home studios for social media. In this episode, I keep a promise and show you how to create a mask to deal with the fringes of a green screen. So let's get to it. In the previous video, I promised that I would show you how to make a mask that will help you trim out some of the uneven lighting so that you don't have to have a lot of theatrical effort to go on with this. Now, the lighting we see in this room today is the two window in front, the double window in front. It is daylight Tennessee in January, about midday. I'm getting some light through the front window. Through the side windows, same way. Light coming through the window. Both of them have a sheer on them, so it's filtered it down a little bit, but it's also fairly well much daylight coming through those shears. Above me, the only other light I have is a 6-bulb pendant fixture that has now been changed out to all LED 40-watt daylight, 40-watt equivalent daylight bulbs. We have to do a few things first. We do notice that we have the background. This is the painted green screen with no filters whatsoever. This is just the camera set for its default for this ambient environment, and we have to go grab this picture in order to cut around the desk. So this is going to be a little bit of a multi-step process. I'm going to use a couple of products. I'm going to use one product called GIMP and another product which is native to Windows, Paint. Because I'm going to use Paint to resize it real down and dirty, and then I'm just going to use GIMP to give it the shaping that I want to do. So let's go ahead and turn on our center panel so you can see where we're at. We're going to go up here, grab our camera scene, our camera, and we're going to bring up a filter. Now we're going to take that filter like we did in the previous one and drop it over in another panel. We're going to go ahead and switch to the left panel so we can see that together. I did turn off the camera inset, so you're just going to have to watch me while I'm live and listen to my voice as I talk about it. Now that I have this, I want to take Control. Let me go ahead and click on this top white bar. Control, Alternate, and Print Screen. That should grab this left-hand monitor, including this space over here. Now what I'm going to do is use Paint to crop out everything but the natural proportions of this monitor and then stretch that to the native format of 1920 by 1080, if you can follow that logic. So I've got my screen grab. I'm going to close this down. I'm going to come down where I have it shortcutted down to my taskbar, bring up Paint. Now I'm going to just simply paste what we just had. Now before I do anything else, I've got this little crosshair, this move it crosshair that you see wiggling right now. I'm just going to grab this and I'm going to try to justify the top corner. And then I'm going to click off into the white, slide down and find my two corners, my edges. Here's an edge marker. I'm going to pull this in to what looks like a full screen. Bring this up, get a full screen. Now this may not be 100% perfect, so we're going to zoom out, but we don't have any extra. We might have a tiny bit along that top left-hand corner. But we're going to go to Home, and now we're going to click Resize from percent to pixels. We're going to make this 1920, which is the width, and we're off by 2 pixels, so we got a pretty good cut. But to make sure we stretch it to the perfect ratio, we're going to click off, maintain the aspect ratio, and change that to 1080. Now we'll say OK. It rescales it for us, and we're going to save it on the hard drive. And I'm going to go put it somewhere. You may not see all of this cut out for time, but we're just going to save the file. Now I have saved that off in the target location. We can go ahead and kill this off. I want to bring up a program I have down here. This little, I guess he's a fox. We're going to bring up the little fox, GIMP 2.8. This is probably an older version. And now I'm going to create a new picture. New. I'm going to turn this to the native format. Okay, and under the advanced options, I want to make this background transparent, so it's just a empty background. Okay, now we're cooking with gas. So now I want to go over here to File. I want to import as a layer, open as a layer, and I'm going to go get my picture we just saved off. Now we have it. Now if you'll look over here in the side pane, I have two layers. I've got the background layer and the raw picture for masking. I'm going to switch down, just click down here to make so that I'm operating on the background layer. I'm going to grab this tool that looks like an old inkwell pen. It's called the Path tool. Click it. I'm going to come down in the corner pretty close to the edge because we're going to fix this in just a second. And now that I'm down to my last link, I got to push down the control button and come up and then click that last circle. That closes this path. Now I want to try to get this one corner pretty close to that desk, but I want it to be off of the desk just a touch so that if my camera moves, I'll be in good shape. And I want to grab this one and take it to the outside edge. I want to take this one, take it down, probably somewhere in about here, so I'm off the screen just a little bit. Now that I have it, I'm going to hide the picture we took because all I'm doing is trying to find the edge of that desk. Now this is the part I need to do carefully, is to try to get my lines vertical using the little squares. And this looks fairly good up top. Looks a little off here. And to shape these, to make these a rounded corner, I'm going to grab in the middle and pull down. And you see these things, they call these handles. Whoops, missed that. And I want to pull this a short handle, but close to vertical. I want to take this handle and make it nearly horizontal. That gives it a nice rounded shape. I do the same thing with these other corners. And I think I like that shape, okay? So now that I got that shape, let me go ahead and turn on something for you. There we go. There I am. Now what I next need to do is come up to Edit, Stroke Path, And in my line, I'm going to use a solid line, but I'm going to turn off anti-aliasing. The anti-aliasing is that thing that will make it kind of dither the line so it's not just a solid line. I'm going to reduce the size of this to, say, 3 pixels. And my color I'm going to stroke it with is the top color, which is this black right here. If you see that black, that's my foreground color. So now I stroke it. Now I have my little black line. Now simply take the bucket, which is also black. Got a little bit of a bump right there. I should have fixed that line. Now we fill that in. Now we're going to save this by exporting. And my path will show up. We'll grab it in just a second. Now what would you like to call this? Let's call it Mask for Demo. And here I'm going to pull this screen over so we can see it. Now that I've picked my file location and name, it's going to ask me one last thing. Do we want to change any of this? And the answer is no. We want to save all that. Export. We're done. We can close this all out. We don't need to save it. We'll go back to our main screen. Now what we've done is just kind of come out by the desk, come up, rounded that little corner where it might be a little darker, come across the top, rounded that corner, come down, and cut out around the deer where it's kind of dark down there. So we have to put this in our filters. So we'll bring up our main camera again. Let's switch over to our center. Go to main camera scene, the center camera, the filters. Slide that over to the left. Left panel. Let's make it a little bit bigger so it's a little easier to see. Now what we want to do is come into filters, click our filter, our image mask blend. Let's have this one called Mask for Demo. Now this is default. We can change this to from Alpha Mask Color Channel to Alpha Mask Alpha Channel. Now we just have to go get that file. I'll be right back. There we go. Now it's blanked out pretty well. We still got a little darkness right there, but we're going to go ahead and turn on our chroma key with daylight. Now we're gone. That corner is gone. Now let's put our background. Save this and check our background. Main cam. Pick a scene. And there we are. And we don't have any of the ugly dithering or any of that kind of spots. Now, let me do my hand thing up again. See, we just cut around that little dark channel or that little dark corner. And you can make, yes, I'm always so uncoordinated. So there we are. And it's a way of fixing the slight variation of the drop off at your fringes without changing anything dramatic, without soft boxes or fiddling and fighting and carrying on. Just trim out the periphery. Everybody's going to be looking toward the center vision anyway. As long as you don't do one of those, let me do it, and keep in the center, you should never know the difference. So how about that? We appreciate you watching. If this is of use to you, I move at a little bit slower pace than a lot of folks do, so it may be easier for you to pick up if you can just tolerate the length of the video. So find me on Rumble as Del Holla Productions. Find me on YouTube as RLDEL149. Thank you for watching. Whoa, hey, just a second. Check this out. What else could we use this for? What other kind of problems could we solve? Well, let's flip it back to the OBS studio, go to our main cam, take our center, go to filters. Let's slide that puppy over to the left-hand panel. Like always, we'll stretch it out, and now we'll switch to that left-hand panel. There we are. What else could we fix with it? Well, while you were looking, I came up with this. Let's turn that chroma key off. Looks just kind of like the other one we had, right? But check it out. What if your audio wasn't very strong and you needed to move your mic closer to you? You can mask it out as well. What if you had a tiny bit of chandelier or something right on top of your head, or a little spot on the wall? You can take it out too. So what do you think about that?